everybody, I hope you're all well. My name's Tris and this is Double O'Neill, and I want to talk to you about what I've been up to over the past 2 weeks. I've had a lot of fun. If you check out my Instagram channel, you'll see some of the bits and bobs I've been up to. I like to share on there, as well as my Facebook page, which is Double O'Neill. So check out some of that stuff. You'll see some of the other bits that happen in the background, which are going to be for future videos, and I've been having a lot of fun with them. This episode, though, is going to be about a 3D printed little building here, and yes, I did do that on my previous episode. We went through some of that at the end, and I had so much fun I wanted to do a bit more, but combine both my printers. So I got myself a new printer, but we're going to talk about that a bit more soon. So after we've had a little look at this, we're going to have a look at this wonderful Loco. Alright, this is a 94XX, Great Western Railway, and it's a wonderful, wonderful Loco, and we'll have a little chat afterwards. If you don't want to watch the bit about 3D printing models and modelling them together, building it all up and painting it, you can skip through to that section. I'll leave a little bit for you to click on for that if you want to watch that. And also we look at some wonderful coaches that my mum and dad got me for Christmas, which I've been waiting to use until I got this Loco. I could have thought I'd save them for a special moment because, you know, these things are special. So going to the 3D printing, got my new 3D printer. It's an Anycubic Photon Mono X, I believe, and it's excellent. The difference over the Photon that I had, which I've had for over a year now, I think it's about that long, the quality difference is big, and you're probably wondering, well, why is it different? And the biggest thing that I find is I don't get layer shifting, you know, as I'm printing things, and I've been working on certain objects, and when there's a little bit too much stress between trying to have it come off the bed of the 3D kind of tray, the resin tray, you find that sometimes you get these little ridges and lines, and I always wonder if the Z column kind of knocks a little bit on the Photon, which is a much smaller printer. This one, however, has double linear rails going up, really sturdy, and I've been printing some really good stuff and getting some results that I haven't been able to achieve on the Photon. And also everything's to kind of a better size. It does everything faster. I wish I'd got it, I don't know, ages ago. Obviously it only came out a number of months ago, but really pleased with it and had a lot of fun so far. The one bit that I'm not so keen on it about is that I have to use their software opposed to Chitubox, which I've kind of honed my talents, you know, getting that right. But fine, it is what it is, and I'm learning and I'm getting by, you know, perfectly happy. But you know what it's like when you have to change up your ways of doing things. With this wonderful little building, you're probably wondering what it is. It goes on the side of the goods shed. I wanted to have a little office building on the side of it. After doing it, I felt let's do a bit more on it, and I thought I'd use both printers. My FDM based printer, which is the hot plastic one, that can make the main body, and then I can have the resin printer doing the handrails, the chimney top, the windows, the door, and the roof. So what I think we do is we're going to jump straight into the video of going through the printing process, preparing the stuff, getting the stuff off the FDM printer, and going through the stages of painting up. And really enjoyed this one. The way that the roof came out, really pleased with it. And I don't know, just having a lot of fun. I like the whole kind of pebble dashy, I think that's the right term, pebble dashy. I can't get a texture that I want for the walls, basically, so I draw like a corrugated steel on purpose because the printer can't do it, and I get this kind of speckledy kind of finish, and it's kind of like a bad stony-ish wall that's probably needs a bit of repairing, I don't know, but I kind of end up kind of satisfied with it. Anyway, let's go have a look. This is the printer in all its glory. It's a simple case of I've done my program already, you've seen it on a previous episode, I've hit play, and I shut it in my little cupboard, which is normally meant for hanging up clothes or putting some storage in, but whilst it's in there, I'll leave the camera on and I'll leave it going for the entire time. It took about 2.5 hours to make these little parts, and I've sped this up so it does a lot faster. You can see the status bar going across the screen at the bottom, but this does it a lot quicker than my old one. The old one literally took double the time to do these types of things, and you really had to kind of, let's say, plan out your day. I don't always like the printer going at night because it's a little bit noisy, but this one means that I can do things, you know, how I want when I want. It's done. A simple case again. Take the lid off. On this printer, don't quite like it because you have to lift the kind of perspex lid off. It'd be nice if it had like little doors, but after that I take the tray off and I knock the little parts off, and that's it, and I put the tray back on. I have a little bath of isopropyl alcohol here. It basically is like my first stage of doing all this because I want to get the main bulk of the resin off, and then I put it in clean isopropyl alcohol, and that goes into my ultrasonic cleaner, and I flick that on. I always put it on for around, is at the 9-minute mark. I'm sure 3 minutes might even be enough, but I leave it there. I come back when it's done, I get it out, let the isopropyl, most of it, drip off, and then I wash it under water, and then I bring it back in, let it dry, and then I trim all the little pieces off. After this I go to the ultraviolet, but UV bath that I've got. The reason I do it after clipping it off is because everything's a bit softer and not as brittle, and I find that some bits can snap and break, but you still have to be careful. You go through and be nice to it because you can bust little parts, make little chipped bits here and there. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more brutal on some of the areas to get to them, but I put them in the ultrasonic bath, the ultraviolet bath, and I leave them normally in there for about the 5-minute mark. The longer you leave it in there, I find the more brittle it makes them, and they don't, get any more cured. I think they're cured by that point, so that's normally enough for me. Sometimes I've actually left them in there for too long and they look almost frosty, and I swear they grow a bit. I've not done an experiment, but I swear they get bigger. But whilst that was happening, I also printed off with the FDM printer, which uses a filament with a hot nozzle, print off the main body of the office building. And with that done, I'm happy with it, and basically it's a case of I need to paint these up and fit all the bits. But I need to make sure these bits are finished now. These have been through their curing process. They are good to file now, and they're reasonably firm. Try and do this in a ventilated area if you do have one of these printers, and wear a mask if you don't, just wear a mask. It's quite simple. I obviously get on my fingers, but I give my hands a really good wash after doing this because I know the resin isn't good for you. And just using a file, working my way through little areas and just kind of tuning the fits. So here's my chimney top, and I kind of wiggle that on, and that maybe a little bit tight, so I kind of clean that up a bit more. But once all the bits are done and they're fitting nicely, I take some kind of thicker super glue. I brought this is some Loctite stuff I found at Wix, and it's really nice because the other super glue I've got is very, very thin. So I put it around the inside of the door where I want it to glue on, and I drop it in place, and it's very simple, just like building any kit that you've ever built before, really. It's kind of fun actually when you design your own kit of bits, like the main body of it with all the brickwork. That's out the FDM stuff, and then after that I've got the SLA'd resin prints that allow me to put the kind of finer detail on. I'd argue that my printer that's done all the FDM printing with the pure just plastic coming out is not as nice quality as the resin printer, but I can't currently generate that kind of pebble dashy stony effect, so fine. But anyway, gluing the windows in, they're quite satisfying because they're really detailed, they're really fine on all the appropriate areas, and the roof worked out quite nice because all the tiles are showing their unique individual tiles. You can't quite see it here, but you will do when we paint it. The other cool bit about all of it was putting the handrails on. They're delicate, they're small, and so they give it that kind of intricate, fine look. I put some holes in the print for these to drop into. I had to drill them back out a little bit because the printer struggled to print them. Obviously that was on the hot plastic FDM filament type printer, but once drilling them out, it worked out really nicely, and that's going to hopefully not get knocked off, but I'm pleased with it. The next stage will be to primer it, and I like to use a white primer. Compared to my grey primer, I always find it goes on a bit thinner, but it creates a lot of dust in the air when you do it. I use some of my Hobbycraft beige paint. Here I've got various beigey colours that I use to start simulating the pebble dashy rockiness. And using a fine brush, work around the main kind of details. You've got your doorway, the windows, and anywhere you don't want to get paint too far. And after that I use a slightly bigger brush and I start laying it on in the kind of bigger areas, as you would. It's painting an object, really. After that, I'm using this contrast paint by Citadel. I do, from time to time, enjoy a bit of painting the Games Workshop products, and I recently bought these and I thought, I wonder how this will work out on the tiles. And at the moment you're thinking, what's going on here? But it's more like a watery ink. So it goes into all the pockets of all the areas, and when it dries, it actually looks quite good. You get the kind of effect of the shade that you want, and on the higher areas you get kind of a highlight left from it. See, it looks alright, and you see it's not just all one colour, it's got that kind of, you look at a roof, it's not all just a solid block colour. So what I'll do is come back in a bit after I've done some of the other work here, where I'm doing a wash here. This is some Agrax Earth Shade, again by Citadel. This is one of their washes, and just running it in so it can highlight some of the kind of the crevices in the pebble dash. I think this is the right word, pebble dash, keep using it. And you can see a little bit of the corrugations coming up, but I think ultimately it'll look alright, because once that's dry, I can then do some dry brushing over the top of a lighter colour. Now I'm using a concrete colour by Omen Miniatures that I've used before, just to do the steps, and I thought, that would be slabs, concrete slabs. I thought that's the right kind of thing to do. Just picking up the edges of them, just trying to be careful and neat and tidy. I might end up touching them quite a bit when I do my dry brushing, but I think the dry brushing will add some kind of weathering effect to it at the same time when it's done. But it's quite nice to do the detail work and taking your time. I'm not amazing at it, but I kind of enjoy it. And so on the roof here, I'm just adding a few highlights with that concrete colour. Kind of contrast quite nicely with the original one. And I'm just going to touch it in various places all over it, and you can see that the tiles that get picked out bit by bit. And it's just a satisfying, kind of relaxing process, and I just work my way through, really. It's the kind of therapeutic manner of it all. And as we go, it's kind of just keep touching bits up, put second coats on, and make it right. After that, I'm using the brick base colour from Omen Miniatures for the chimney top, and that was quite nice because it was a contrasting colour to the other bits. Everything's kind of beigey and grey and dark, and then you've got this nice bright brick colour that comes on there, and I don't know, kind of little things like that kind of stand out to me, because we're going to be putting the Great Western colours on as well in a bit, and that's got that dark stone and light stone, and that always, I find, stands out quite nicely, as well as fits in really well with the colours that are already there. So here's the dark stone that we have, and I'm putting it on, and I'm using the acrylic rail match dark stone by the Great Western. Well, obviously they didn't create the paint, well, I guess they did originally, the shade, but I use this. I normally do 3 coats of it. It's just 3 thin coats, and that's enough with this. And I always find with the enamel paints, I normally have to do around the 3 coats to get that solid colour that I'm after. And again, these nice little rails, handrails, the main post going up, I want to do that with the dark stone, looking at, historical pictures. That's kind of what happened. I decided not to go for the light stone because this is all drying just yet, so I just thought, let's go and dry brush all of the areas to pick up the top of that texture and highlight the tops of what would be the pebbly dashiness that's over the top of it. And it's kind of fun doing dry brush, but sometimes frustrating because nothing's coming out, or far too much comes out. But whilst I do it, I've dusted a little bit over the roof at the same time to kind of give it a, let's say, more of a weathered look. And with that, I'm kind of getting more and more towards the end here. So this is the light stone. I'm getting that onto all the appropriate areas, trying not to touch the dark stone at the same time. And I'm also realising how many bits I missed of the dark stone. You can see in the pictures lots of little white areas still, so we'll get to that. You've got the doors. They're tricky to get to. Maybe I should have painted them first. but you've got to get the inset on the door, which is tricky. So it's just being patient, really. That's the key thing of all of it. It's just no point rushing this. I think it was part of a day doing the print work and assembling it. Then I primered it and then let it dry overnight. And then this is it during the day, and you can see here I'm doing the final touches of putting a gold handle on it, which is always nice. I guess it's brass really, but I think this looks nice really, looking it over. To finish it off, to protect it as well as to give it all a uniform, let's say not sheen but lack of sheen, I put some matte varnish on by Vallejo, and I just kind of try and get it everywhere and smudge it into all the little corners and crevices, and actually do 2 coats on some areas, because I think I'm going to be knocking this around, aren't I? There's a very good chance it will get bashed from time to time. But that's it really. Really pleased. So after that, I think looking at the good shed, I could do with sprucing that up a bit more. I'm not quite happy with the roof, and I haven't got any of the, I call them roof skirts, I think they have proper names. But anyway, so I want to put that on and paint up some Great Western colours onto it and get that done. Okay, so next big thing is this wonderful Loco. This Loco is, I think, gorgeous. There's a certain look to it, certain angles. It's not always as pretty as you think it would be, kind of this kind of top view when I'm looking like this. But then when it's going around, it's pulling some coaches. I'm really pleased with it. I think it's really cool because you can see underneath the boiler the amount of light. You know, I can see you on the camera when it's like this. I've not got a Loco like that actually, with it that exposed underneath, and that's wonderful. I'd love to go see the real one, because there is one going around in real life, maybe 2, I don't know, you can tell me. But looking at it, like a lot of the Locos that you get, they're all to such a high standard now. This one's quite heavy, actually. I didn't realise it until I was relifting it off the track again to bring it down here to talk about it on the video. I like to give them a good run, find out what they're like, and just enjoy them. And it's just nice. You know, it's one of these things, there's so many people doing reviews on engines, and I've seen some about these. So, you know, it's a case of check them out as well. I'm not going to try and repeat what they've done, but looking at myself, I always wonder if I've spent the right amount of money on things, and this is on the higher end, being it's the sound fitted ones. But I thought if I got one that isn't sound fitted and then put a sound decoder on, I also have to take it apart and go through the process of possibly doing something wrong, which I'm in fear of. But looking over it, it's nice. The finish is lovely. It honestly is. All the little details, just they're really good, and I'll be having shots coming in whilst I'm talking about it. But I'm honestly pleased with it. I've seen that they, on Bachmann's website, have released a weathered one, which looks nice enough. I haven't weathered any of my engines yet. I've got my airbrush kind of up and working now, and I might have a go at doing some things myself, so I might try and mimic that. But honestly, really pleased with it, so that's that really. I'm going to run it on the layout. We'll have a look at it going around. I'm just more excited about running them, if I'm honest. It's pretty exciting when you get a new Loco. Anyway, let's jump up there, but first, before I get too excited, we'll have a look at these coaches. My dad said to me, what do you want for Christmas? And I gave him a hint of, can I have some coaches please? And he was very kind to get me these. I let him know what ones I already had, because you could have a few of the same, so he made sure that I had the different codes on the side. So I've got a number of different ones now, so they're kind enough to get me 3 of them, one of them being a brake coach, well not brake coach, sorry, the luggage one at the end, so that's nice, and it's got a nice look to it. And the one thing that I like about these coaches, I've noticed on the ones that my brother gave me, the Monsal ones, the Southern Railway ones, is they've got the couplings can kind of, they retract out further going around corners, but they're close around centre, which I thought was really clever. I've not seen that, you know, it's not something that I've observed, and maybe I've got it on my other ones, but I think that's, I don't know, it's a good little touch, so then you can have that closer running. What comes with these as well is a coupling that allows them all to sit closer together, which I thought that's a nice little thing, because if you're always keeping them as that rake, you could have them running, well, nice and close. So I thought that's really brilliant. Inside you can see the seats, it all looks like the standard kind of stuff. One day I'll have to get some people to go inside. I mean, whole railway, there's a real lack of people on it. But you have these engines going around without people inside them, pulling them without the driver, fireman. So yeah, I need to start fetching a few more of them. So what we'll do is we'll go and pop up into the loft, we'll give it a run round and we'll enjoy it. What we do is we even pop this on the layout for you to see it at the same time. But I hope you enjoy it. I like these things, and we'll run a few other Locos that you can enjoy having as a watch. Let me know what you think, because I think it's a nice Loco. The sound is quite quiet on the initial settings, and I've left it how it is because actually my other ones are quite loud. And so I'll see what I think over time. I don't always like running the sound because it gets a bit too much sometimes running the sound Locos, but the DCC control is kind of nice, the way it can stop and starts. So that's nice for me. As well as when you have like the stay alives that I have in my diesel, when I go across some of my dodgy track work, it keeps going. Generally really happy with what that does. I'm looking forward to getting some more of that system. My plan is on the DC lines, I'm going to have 2 wires going into the tracks, and then come back to a bit that I can swap it over from DC to DCC, so I can play with my different engines on different lines. And that's kind of fun for me, that idea of being able to interchange between the two. Shout out to my patrons, you've all been brilliant. The channel seems to be growing, and I've had a few more patrons as well, so much appreciation for the extra support, as well as my subscribers, my continual support from you all. I really enjoy reading the comments after the videos, so please leave a comment, let me know what you like, what you'd like to see more of. I like to know what you're enjoying out of the channel. I don't want to do things that you're not enjoying, but at the same time I want to share my journey, so there will be certain bits that will keep having to happen. But anyway, until next time, you take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and see you soon. Bye.